Hey guys, I'm John. Welcome back to my channel. I'm here in Rocky Mountain House with my wife Allie.
Hi.
And we got our big blue beautiful flags and we're showing our support for Alberta independence. And there is a lot of people in this town right now who are showing their support all the way down over there, driving in by Main Street, kind of set up by the Tim Hortons, well, like more by the McDonald's. And then there's some people over here and they're driving around. And I see some people with Canadian flags and I'm gonna go try to have a friendly conversation with them. So that's what I'm gonna do. Cuidado. Hey, how's it going today?
Hi.
Would you be open to having a friendly conversation? Awesome. So, I mean, I make YouTube videos and I support independence.
That's not all.
Well,
That part is obvious.
So we
but
don't
we're
need
not
to
really
speak
that crazy about
Well, no.
discussing independence because I just think that this is we're
Okay.
Canadian and want
Okay.
to remain Canadian.
so,
and I don't. I'm not authorizing this being.
well, see, that's what I'm asking, if I could have a friendly conversation.
We're going to just say that we're just
You
assuming
have
Well,
a friendly conversation, but
None of you guys want to be on camera.
let our flags speak for ourselves.
Why not?
Let the flags speak for
Why?
ourselves.
Convince you, okay? Your
No.
mind's made up. Our mind's made
Well, no,
This is not approved.
I have an audience of thousands of people who will watch this
You
and they'll
go
hear
ahead
your
and
opinion.
You go ahead and do your thing.
Well,
Don't include us in your.
I would like to talk to somebody about Canada. Hey, how's it going?
This is your day. This is your day. Have at her.
What happens on social media?
People start making comments directly to you, okay?
Oh, I know.
That we've got a Canadian flag in front of us, and I'm not interested in being
I know.
harassed.
And we don't want to be on your
Not part of
YouTube
your
videos.
conversation.
Well, this is a public street. I'm being really polite by not pointing the
nobody's
camera at
telling
you.
you not to
Nobody's
be on the street.
approved you.
See, this
I'm-
is, this
come
is
so-
what the separatists do because
Yeah.
people say, no, we don't want to talk to you. You imply that we're not allowing you on the street.
You're on the
That's
street.
problem.
Do your
Well,
thing.
no, so I'm being
Do
really
your
polite
thing.
by
We're
not
being
pointing the
polite
camera
as
at you,
well.
actually.
We're being polite as well. Please
Yeah.
do your thing
Yeah.
and just let us have our little.
We're not telling you to leave.
Okay, so then I'm gonna stay then.
We're not telling you
Okay, but no, I'd like to have a polite conversation about why you support this.
to support what?
Like, why do you, or why, what gives you hope about Canada? Because, like, I feel like,
We get into this dialogue.
well, you got Canada flags.
I don't want to talk to you about it.
Okay.
We're done.
To see, you have complete control over the editing of your video.
Exactly.
Why would we trust you?
Yeah, why?
You're not coming here as an objective person. You've stated your opinion and
Yeah.
you're entitled to it. But you have complete editorial control over what,
Yeah.
what you publish. So
Yeah.
why?
Well, and I'm trying to show some integrity by not pointing the camera at you guys, even though I do have the right to do it. Yeah. But no, I mean, I was hoping to, is there anybody who would support staying in Canada to try to, tell me why?
You are.
Do you love this country? Can I talk to you for a few minutes?
I don't want to be on your camera, but I'll talk to you.
Oh, okay.
At your age, why do you need somebody to explain to you the benefits of being in Canada? You are able to read?
Well, you can tell me then, because obviously I'm not smart enough to know what the benefits are.
You are smart enough. You just don't pay any attention to it. We're not saying you're stupid.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Well, lots of people on the internet are saying I'm stupid.
Anybody.
Yeah.
it's on the internet.
Well, I thought that you guys you're so bold as to set up like this, and this is a good thing. I support this. I support democracy. I support everybody's right to show their,
That's what
Yeah.
it is. It's democracy, right? So,
yeah.
I wish you.
Hey, how's it going?
How you doing?
Well, honestly, at the end of the day, my opinion is that we're gonna have to get along no matter what. And so, at some point we'll have a vote. Well, I hope we will. And then, you want me to be proud of this flag again, and I, yeah.
We can't convince you to be proud of any flag if it's not up to you. My suggestion to you is that you do some reading, some actual reading of the history of this country instead of listening to people.
See, you got a lot of things to say. I
You want to know why?
I'd like to record this.
I know you are. Both of you look like intelligent people. Do the reading,
Do your homework.
and not
Well-
like what Joe Blow Smo writes on.
Okay, so can I have a polite conversation with you then? Well, he wants to talk to me.
No, okay.
You're saying lots of things to me.
Yeah, I'm encouraging you to do some reading.
Can you tell me one thing to read?
Well,
I've read. Have you read the Charter of Rights and Freedoms? What's the first clause in the Charter of Rights and Freedoms? It gives the government the right to override all the other rights.
you mean like
We don't have rights. We have discretionary
like
privileges.
Alberta has done to the teachers, right?
Okay, well, you know what?
What Alberta has done.
I'm sympathetic to the teachers. I am. I'm very sympathetic. Because I don't know enough to say everything for sure, but I do support people's right. Yeah. Well, you know what though? I don't want to have a hostile conversation with you guys, but why should I be Canadian? Why should I be supporting of this?
Do your thing, do your homework, make your decision.
If for no other
Join the
reason,
parade.
Yeah.
understand that Alberta would not exist as an independent nation without Canada. The moment Alberta is not protected by Canada,
Yeah.
it will be subsumed by the United States and it will be done.
Why do you think that? Well, I mean, that's an assertion. I don't agree with it. I would just assert back that no, you're wrong. But why? Give me a reason why.
Why? Because you would have no choice. Alberta exports, say, 4.2 million barrels of oil a day to the United States. The
Yeah.
United States doesn't need that oil except to fuel its export industry.
Okay.
So the United States can close those taps for one single month, and Alberta would be absolutely broke.
And
Then who are
and
you going to turn to?
well, okay. So actually, I would like to answer this question, but can I record you while doing this?
No, but I'll listen to your answer.
Okay. Well,
Because you're making money off of it too, and we're not interested in supporting
yeah, I make a little bit of gas money off of this. I'm not a big fancy YouTuber. I got like 4,000 subscribers.
When the United States turns the taps off to Alberta's exports,
Yeah.
how do you survive?
So we could ask the same question. When Canada turns the taps off to our exports, how do we survive? Because right now we're policy locked either way. Like they're not letting us build pipelines. They're not letting us expand our industry
More pipelines.
because we want more jobs and prosperity, and we want to be able to like.
Well, and that's not the real point of it. The American pipeline capacity out of Alberta
Yeah.
greatly exceeds the amount of oil they draw out of Alberta.
Yeah.
Look it up.
Well, I mean, I'm open. I want to be open for business. I like the Americans are our best friends. We're culturally aligned with them. Yeah. Like, I mean, pick friends in the world. Like, China is a better friend than the United States. What's that? Oh, Trump put tariffs on everybody. He's got to take care of his country first. Yeah. Can I talk to you for a few minutes? Well, you guys got a lot of strong opinions. Why are you afraid to say it on the camera?
We're not because
Well, if-
we're willing to talk to you. We're not willing to talk to your audience. You came here to ask for.
Well, so now you're taking my picture. I didn't give you your consent to do that. You see how that works? So I could turn this camera right now, and I was tempted to do that here. I'm tempted to do that, but like, you know, I would expect you guys to give me the common courtesy that I haven't pointed this camera at you yet. You know, I don't care. Take my picture.
say anything, okay?
Yeah.
Honestly, you seem like a right little guy. Do some reading.
Well, you seem like a reasonable person too, and I think at the end of the day, we're gonna have to get along on this, and that's what I came over to talk to you guys about.
We were getting along. Everybody was getting along.
Yeah.
Until you
Well-
guys decided that Alberta was entitled to take.
All of those people over there. All of those people over there.
Yeah, tens of people. I saw that.
On the other main street, there's another large group.
You got 5 million Albertans.
You guys, well, I mean, you might have an overall number when you add in Edmonton and Calgary. There might be more like NDP there or something. But
We collected, what, 450,000 votes?
yeah, can we be fair about that? Because you didn't have to check IDs. You didn't have to check IDs.
We had less time and we had to get more, so.
Yeah, and people want.
And we had to do it in January with people's IDs. So, hey, here's a question for you.
When you're, I just asked for your sign-ins and nobody was.
Do you think anybody signed the Forever Canada petition intending to vote no? Or do you think everybody, okay, so what percentage do you think would have done that? because I have met a few people. I didn't sign it, I'll be honest, but like I think a lot of people probably did intend to vote no on that. What would the implications of that be?
Well, there are none. It's done. That petition is done.
Hey, how's it going? Well, you guys don't want to talk to me, but you're willing to stand in public, so I'm willing to stand in public too. Hey, how's it going?
Good, but I don't think they want you here any longer.
Yeah, well, they don't get a choice. This is a public space.
It is, but
Yeah.
if you've had your discussion, then, you know,
Well,
come,
no,
come chat with someone.
that's not how it goes, though. You don't get to.
You're trying to restrict our freedoms, well, your whole argument is you want to be free, right? I mean, that's what
Those ladies said you don't want to talk to me.
it's a freedom too. But
Yeah.
you're opposed to that.
And I've been respectful. I haven't pointed the camera at you guys. Hey, how's it going? Hey, are there any other groups of Canadians out here that want to maybe like talk?
Canadian?
Well, I came directly to the only group of Canadians, and they're like,
Oh, so they work.
Well,
they're members of the
Canada-
Corporation of Canada.
well,
There you go.
I-
Canada's not a country.
all I want to do is have a reasonable conversation with somebody who's against this.
The Canada that I loved has been kidnapped
Yeah.
by corrupt politicians,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it's time to take a stand.
Well, I agree with you, right? And I want to find somebody who disagrees with me, who's willing to like explain why. Like why? Well, like why? What would give somebody hope about Canada at this point?
I don't know. Ask them.
Signing,
We have no.
I mean,
We have no answer for that.
Election on October.
yeah.
Yeah, that's our hope.
I mean, honestly, I'm like completely giving up hope on Canada. Like our economy's going downhill. We're losing our freedoms. Like literally they're restricting the internet and freedom of speech. Like so many big concerns, and they're doing deals with China and fighting off the Americans. Like it just seems like we're going in a bad direction.
Yeah. Our hope is October 19th.
Yeah.
Vote
Yeah.
yes for independence.
Well, I'll call it separation or independence. I think either way, it's the, you know, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, you know, it's interesting because this is the only group of people I've seen so far, and I want to talk to them, and they're really hostile to me. I've been polite and not point the camera at them. I don't have to. Yeah. Well, you know what? You guys mock me.
Somebody opposes your opinion
I've been polite and not point the camera.
without even not leaning against the wall.
Mock me one more time. Say something smart. I challenge you. Seriously.
You're not talking to stage parts, just a thing.
You know,
My
he was
dad
talking.
went to war to fight for Canada.
Okay.
So why the hell?
Okay, then I'm gonna record
not
this.
to have Canada.
I'm sure I saw some Canadians up the road.
Your dad
My
went
dad
to
went
war?
to war for Canada, not for
Yeah.
Alberta. He went to war for Canada.
As
Can
did
you
mine.
tell me more about that, please? I want to seriously hear your whole opinion. I won't interrupt you. I promise.
You not see what's happening?
Well, I have no desire to leave Canada.
Some
Yeah.
person's democracy
Like,
is
I
another
believe in
person's
Canada as a
communism
country.
because you just
Okay.
don't agree with it.
And
That's how democracy works. I might
why don't
vote
you guys
same as
form
that
your
person
own
over there, but they have the right to
political
vote as
party
they choose to.
and then try to fight government within instead of trying to separate?
Well, that might happen, but you said that your grandfather or your father, your dad fought in World War II.
And my great-grandfather
Yeah.
and my grandfather
Yeah.
between World War
So the
I and World
richest
War
province
II,
in
they
the
didn't fight
country,
for
the
Alberta, they
highest
fought
per
for
capita
Canada.
income in the country.
Okay. Well, I mean, I have nothing but respect for that, and so I find that a persuasive argument. It's very emotional, kind of speaks to my heart.
One thing that really irked me,
No, you don't.
I think it
No,
was
you
done by
don't.
Caroline, they were having a petition
Just
signing,
Yeah.
and they had the
do
poppy there.
homework.
Yeah.
And that was just totally disrespect for any of the veterans.
Go
So
Total disrespect.
the poppy, what is it?
Poppy represents
total revenues,
Remembrance Day for the
collective,
veterans who were
federal
in the
government
war.
by
Okay.
province.
And
Okay.
while
It's
they
a
were trying
terrific
that,
website
when trying to sign
that
petitions,
allows you to track
That
how
just
much
irked
revenue.
So, but if there's a veteran who wears a poppy and supports independence, is he not allowed to do that?
he is,
transfer
but you
back
shouldn't be flying the poppy to support.
And you can do your own homework.
I mean, I've seen a lot of people with different symbols.
Individual, fine,
Yeah,
but not when you're trying to set it
On
up
an
as
average
that's supporting
year,
everything.
yeah. There's some people in the independence movement who fly like certain flags that I disagree with, or that maybe represent more like other ideologies. but like I don't think it represents the whole movement either. So when somebody wears a poppy, it's kind of like their own personal statement.
You see, that's
You know?
why it's
So-
not reasonable to have a conversation.
But I mean, like, okay, so veterans fought. What did they fight for?
You won't even go.
They fought for the country.
You
They
might.
fought for the freedom
You
of
might,
people.
but he's saying, "Oh, that's not true. That's
of
not
the
true."
country.
The freedom to do
Here's-
what?
Here's another place.
Just the freedom to survive in the
The
country of
separatists
Canada.
have got a.
Just the freedom to survive.
In the country of
Now,
Canada.
you listen,
Okay.
Not for an individual province.
They've got
Okay.
a poster out.
But like, give me some freedoms that they would have fought for. What would your dad have said? Hey, I fought for this freedom or that freedom. What freedom?
Based rightly,
The right to survive
And it
in
tracks
Canada
expenditure.
for the country.
Okay,
And
so
on
They
Di-
fought for the country.
It
Okay.
quotes the Fraser
Okay.
Institute.
well, I mean, free speech. Do you care about free speech as a right?
Alberta's
part of
net
it.
Yeah.
contribution to federal.
So, are you worried about all these bills that are censoring the internet, that are preventing
Well,
Us
now,
from
if you
saying-
can believe anybody, believe the
No.
Fraser Institute.
compelled speech laws in
Right.
Canada?
Right wing.
Well,
So
you
now
know what they're
go
doing
home,
provincially
or
for a
take
lot
your
of the.
phone
Let's
and
ban some
divide
books. Let's do this. Let's do that. So they're doing
244
that provincially, which
by 16,
they're getting into the
which
place
is the
where they
number.
shouldn't.
Well, no, they're banning pornography in schools.
Oh, they banned books before that.
And what you'll find
The books that they banned have pornographic
They
images.
banned books.
said that the
Yeah.
They banned one of
federal
Dr.
government
Seuss's
keeps
books.
50
Did any of Dr. Seuss's books get banned in Alberta?
Nope, none of Dr. Seuss's books were banned. They weren't part of the removals.
So why are some people saying that Dr. Seuss's books were banned?
It's likely confusion or exaggeration. Sometimes when any books get pulled, rumors spread. But officially, his books weren't removed.
Did the UCP ban any books in Alberta?
No, the UCP didn't ban books. The recent removals were about schools culling titles with explicit imagery, specific content, not a broad ban.
What kind of books were removed?
Mostly graphic novels or books with explicit visual sexual content. Text-only classics were generally left alone.
So when somebody says that the UCP is banning books, what would you say to them?
I'd say it's more selective removals in schools, not a blanket ban. It's about specific content, not political ideas.
18.3.
Well, I'll have to look that up. I mean, I would be against that too. You know, I'm fair enough to say that if they're banning books, then I'm against that. I don't want the government to ban any books. So, I mean, your dad would have fought for the freedom to not ban books, right?
Yeah.
Now
Okay.
told you that.
But like right now on the internet, it's been a law for like 5 or 6 years, or maybe longer, where you can't share news articles on social media. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, like on Facebook, I can't share a link of certain websites, media websites. Does that infringe on free speech?
GDP is going to cost you 10 billion. 5% is
no
going to
opinion.
cost
No.
you 20.
Have you heard of Bill C9?
I'm done.
Right?
Okay, well, fair enough. Hey, thanks for the conversation. I hope you realize I treated you politely.
Fraser Institute says that
Hey, can I ask you a few questions? No, not a chance.
Made up your mind, my mind. You made up your
relies
mind.
on that. Why would
I
you believe?
just don't.
Well, I'll go look it up.
At
Yeah,
all.
I'll go research it, but
Sure, check
Okay.
on the Fraser Institute.
yeah,
What's the conversation happening here now?
he feels that his sources say that we don't send as much money and that we get more back.
Oh,
Then. But I gotta go look it up. Like you said, I got some sites
Yeah.
to go look up, but
yeah,
it's not gonna change my mind. But I'm gonna go look it up so that I can
yeah,
have intelligent
yeah.
arguments. But
Are there any other Canadians walking around here right now? Like, cause I did a little circle around.
Not a lot of red flags.
I did a circle around Rocky. Okay, well, hey, you know what, you guys? I do give you an opportunity to say something to the camera. I won't interrupt you, I promise. And I will publish it exactly word for word what you say. So it's a free opportunity. I won't edit you at all, and I give you my word on that. No? Okay. Okay. But you know, I do thank you for doing this, for showing up, and you know, I support your right to vote as well. So, all right. Well, hey, in a democracy, we all get our point of view and we get to vote. So,
And that's what you guys don't like.
no, I'm right here literally trying to give you a voice. Democracy is about talking to people.
Need
Okay.
to give me anything.
What?
I have a voice. You don't need to give me anything. I don't
Yeah.
need your permission.
Yeah. No, you don't. And I'm going to amplify your voice. You can say literally whatever you want.
I have no trust in that you won't
Okay.
edit what I say.
Okay.
Who are you?
My name is John, and I'm from Alberta. I got a YouTube channel called Talking to Albertans.
I could have said those first two things.
Yeah, that's right.
And they both would have been true.
And they both would
I just don't have a YouTube channel.
Yeah. Well, no, you can go start a YouTube channel as well. Here's the thing, though. Like I promise you, I won't edit you. Give me the best thing you gotta say.
Well, we can't tell him to move along.
Well,
No.
don't want
He
to
can
talk.
stand there all day
Have
if
a
he
great
wants.
day.
But he's
Yeah,
probably
that's right.
missing other people he could be talking to.
Yeah.
So,
Well, no, I came here to try to find some Canadians because I saw that there was
I suspect.
like there's a large group down that way.
I suspect most everybody here is a Canadian.
Well, no, I'm going to denounce Canada as soon as we get independence. The day we win, I'm denouncing it.
Here's what I would ask you
Yeah.
to do, is the
But
day
it's not
you
gonna-
lose that you button your trap. That you accept the will of the voter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go.
That's all I would ask.
Yeah.
We'll vote.
Well,
we all
then
have the
how
right to
can it-
vote.
if the
But
vote is no?
if the vote is pro-Canada, please stop decreasing investment in Alberta by your threat to separate.
Yeah.
You don't understand what you're doing to the investment in Canada, in Alberta.
Okay.
You're hurting your own province by this. Unbelievable.
Okay. There are 2 points there that I'd like to respond to then. So I give you my word that if we lose this, I will respect the right of the people. I will respect the vote. Will you make the same pledge?
Yeah, because
That
I'm
if your
confident.
side
we will
loses-
lose. Absolutely.
So what would be, because this is an interesting question, what would be the line? Would 52% be enough?
That's not part of the discussion.
Well, okay, it's like normally 50% plus 1, but like 52%, would that be enough to, so you wouldn't accept a majority of 52%?
No, you know what? You're not going to win. And I just ask that when you don't win, that you just go back to work,
Right.
that
Yeah.
you try and contribute
To the province.
to the
and
province
country.
instead of trying to destroy something.
Yeah,
That's all I'm asking.
yeah. Well, and I just said, yes, I will guarantee you that I will give up if we lose. And so here's how I would qualify this. I would say if it's like 10 or 20%, like you guys are saying, then I'm like, this is done. There's no hope. If it's like 49%, like Quebec got in their last go, I'm going to want a second round or a third round, like Quebec's keep wanting their second, third round.
Do some reading.
You lost.
Do some reading,
And,
please.
and so to be fair to you, I'd say 52% wouldn't be enough for us either in my mind. I would think like 60% or 70%. But would you accept it if it was 60%?
And what this movement is doing to harm Alberta.
Yeah.
Why would companies invest here under the threat of separation? Why would they do that?
Because we got a lot of oil here.
The business.
It's not going to move somewhere else.
That's all there.
That shows up.
And the oil is already owned by the Americans. Come on, get.
Well, a lot of Chinese companies are investing. I know CNRL has large shareholders in China. What percent of CNRL is owned by China, directly or indirectly?
There is no significant Chinese ownership in Canadian Natural Resources Limited, known as CNRL. As of early 2026, about 58% of its shares are held by US institutions and around 27% by Canadian investors. Chinese institutional ownership is extremely small, about 0.01%, and there's no indication of any meaningful Chinese state stake.
I stand corrected. So, I mean, look, that's just how international business works. But okay, so that was the second point you made is like we're scaring off the business investment and we're kind of harming our reputation. We're making this less. Is that correct? Is that what you're saying?
Without even winning the vote.
Yeah.
You're doing that now.
Yeah. Just the
If
uncertainty of
that's
it.
your objective, you've already won.
Yeah.
If your objective is to destroy businesses here
Yeah.
and to discourage investment here, you guys have already won.
Yeah. Well, so our perspective is that we've already lost so much investment because of the bad policies that Canada's putting on us, the tanker ban, the pipeline bans, all the restrictions. So it's like we stand nothing to lose.
There is no tanker.
On the BC coast,
There
Yes,
is
there
no
is no
tanker
tanker
ban.
ban.
Please
Do your
look it
homework.
up.
Hey, ChatGPT, is there a tanker ban on the British Columbia coast in Canada?
Yes, there is. Canada has a formal tanker ban on British Columbia's north coast. It's called the Oil Tanker Moratorium Act, passed in 2019. It prohibits tankers carrying large quantities of crude oil from stopping or unloading at ports along that northern stretch of the coast.
Does the United States send oil tankers in the same general area?
Yes, US tankers operate along the Pacific, but the Canadian moratorium is on our northern coast. US tankers tend to operate around Alaska or down the coast, not unloading crude oil at those restricted BC ports. So different jurisdictions, different rules.
So they don't unload in Canada, but they pass in the same general vicinity, right?
Exactly. They might transit through international waters off the coast, but they don't stop or unload in those restricted northern BC areas. Canada's ban is on large oil tankers docking or unloading at those specific ports, not on passing by.
So, well, I mean, if I'm wrong, is there no tanker ban on the BC coast? Hey, ChatGPT, listen to this and tell me what you think.
Why are LNG?
I'll take it back if I'm wrong.
Why are LNG tankers as big
Yeah.
as football
Yeah.
fields floating into
Like
Kitimat
crude oil tankers.
every day? That is the only moratorium
Yeah. Crude oil.
on shipping, and there's no ban on that. It's
Yeah.
just that one ship can't carry more than 12.5 thousand metric tons or
He won't
tones.
remember that. He's not even listening.
The moratorium restricts large crude oil tankers on the northern BC coast. LNG is not part of that ban. The 12.5 thousand tons limit ensures only smaller ships can dock.
Yeah.
Of oil in one load.
They can't carry more than 5.7 tons of okay, I am listening, man.
About 90.
I'm
they
just
can-
looking behind me because people like to attack me when I make these videos. It's happened
Well,
on
you got
camera many times.
friendly-
Well, we're
friendly
not
enough crowd
threatening you.
behind
Well, no,
Sorry.
you're not. But I've learned to look behind me. So you're saying there's a tanker ban, but there's a tanker ban on
didn't say there
crude.
was
Is
a
that
tanker ban.
is that correct?
I said there was a limitation on the amount of crude oil that can be carried on one ship.
Yeah.
There is no limitation on liquid natural gas. There is
Okay.
no limitation on aviation fuel. No limitation on gasoline. No limitation on
Okay.
any of the lighter fluids. So
Okay.
if Alberta refined its product here,
Okay.
we could be selling endless.
We got 5 refineries.
But that's only enough to supply Alberta. Right? There's 5 refineries. But if we want to export,
So you need a pipeline for every product. And that's not economical. One pipeline for number 1 gas, another pipeline for number 2, and diesel. Winter fuel, it switches over for winter fuel.
Well, okay, I'll take it back if I'm wrong about this, and I seriously I will take it back. But you're saying we're chasing away investment. I think we've already chased away so much investment, we got nothing more to lose.
why is
That's my
Alberta?
point.
So tell me, why is Alberta the richest province in the country?
Yeah.
How is that?
Yeah.
Why is Alberta growing from
In spite of
growing like a bad thing population-wise?
Yeah.
If it's the worst place to live in Canada?
Well, I think because we work so hard, we have so much going for us that it takes a lot to sink us. But we're the only thing holding Canada up at this point, in my humble opinion. I feel like Canada is a sinking ship, and Alberta's the last little bit holding it up.
How much of the general revenues collected by the federal government does Alberta contribute to federal
Now
revenue?
you can tell me that you.
So I think it was like 13 to 15% the last time I looked. Is that it? Yeah.
So the rest of the country provides 85%, and you're saying the rest of the country's doing nothing?
Okay, but we're looking at GDP, and GDP factors in government expenses as well. And so here's one for you. Do you know what percentage of the Canadian economy GDP is government spending? Do you know what that number is?
Well, it might have affected your signatures.
we don't know.
No, I don't. But it would.
It's 40 to 45%. So 40 to 45% of the Canadian economy is government spending. How do you feel about that? Alberta, by the way, as a province, is 30%. How do you feel about that?
Well, Alberta's GDP is inflated because of oil. It doesn't mean
Yeah.
we do anything.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with jobs.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, not directly. GDP isn't a good measure of personal wealth, although a lot of people seem to think it is.
I actually 100% agree. So that's the best attack against this argument is GDP isn't a good way to measure it. So there you yeah.
That's part of the problem.
But how do we measure it though?
How do you measure it?
How do we measure performance of an economy? You know, because I think the Alberta economy could be doing so much better, and I feel like we're missing out on a lot. You know?
You know what I would be doing?
Yeah.
I would be refining if we don't want to refine it into lighter product.
Yeah.
Like we could sell as much aviation fuel as we could possibly refine in a single pipeline
Yeah.
all over the world. We could do it in a heartbeat. we could also refine our product here into carbon fiber.
Okay.
Now, carbon fiber is going to replace copper.
Yeah.
It is more conductive than copper wire.
Okay.
They're making cars out of it. They're making airplanes out of it. And it is made from petroleum. But you know how much carbon fiber we make in this province?
No, I have no idea.
0.
So why is that then? Because this sounds like a great idea.
Tell you why. Because we have this attitude that if we can't export the raw product, we don't
Oh,
want
I
nothing to
did
do
read
with
about
it.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why are we selling?
Well, read
Yeah.
about it again, because I
Yeah.
don't think it's as bad as you think.
70% of
I don't know
what
who
is
did it.
exported into the United States
Yeah.
is reprocessed and exported by the United States.
Back to us.
You think
No,
our
not back to us.
canvassers
We don't buy.
Oh.
We buy a lot of like cell phones and small stuff.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But the only reason the United States is a net exporter of petroleum and an exporter of natural gas
Yeah.
is because they buy ours at a discount.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you know what? This is a good point. And so this is why I think, to me, I spin that in my mind. It's like, that's more reason for independence. Because why aren't we doing that? Is it something to do with our current government system?
The reason for an independence is because Alberta won't refine its own product, please.
Well, okay, so here's my perspective on independence.
Refining oil into carbon,
Well,
shipping it all over the world.
okay.
Nobody is stopping that. It's
Okay.
not the federal government. It's that the mindset here is
Yeah.
raw oil is all that matters.
But you never
Yeah.
know, maybe.
And you know, we've got all these bright kids that need to be employed
Okay.
in the future.
Okay.
And instead of evolving technologies
Okay.
so that the United States isn't refining our product and selling it elsewhere,
Okay.
we employ our own kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a
And the federal government isn't stopping that.
Yeah. Well, okay, why isn't it happening then? Why is that not
I'll tell you
happening?
exactly why it's happening.
Why is it not happening?
It's because when somebody suggests we should be doing this, instead of going, oh, that's a good idea, they say, let's separate. Because this is obviously the fault of the federal government.
Wait a
and
minute.
that's nonsense.
This is the first time in history that Albertans have got this far in a separation movement. So, I mean, there have been little pop-up movements here.
Around 2015, 2017.
Yeah,
Right?
1% kind of movements, right?
No.
This is a historic thing that's happening. So, I mean, to say it's every time we pop up and do this is kind of a little bit disingenuous.
Southern, the chair of ATCO and the Business Association in Calgary
Yeah.
have said they have already seen a drop in investment in Alberta because of the threat of separation.
Yeah.
And you guys seem to think you're doing us all a favor, or your kids. You're doing your kids a favor? Come on.
Well, I believe that as soon as we're independent, we're going to be able to reinvent our whole system of government. So for me, it's like you're mad at Daniel Smith, you're mad at the maybe the UCP or something, but I'm saying actually fire them all. I want a constitution that guarantees our rights and freedoms, that power originates from the people, and then we guarantee our rights inalienable, and then we build from that point. So like a new system of government. I'm actually just as mad at the provincial government as you are.
We would share that view, but you don't destroy Canada because you're mad at the provincial government. How's that a solution? That's like, well, my foot hurts, so I think I'm going to go have a milkshake.
Okay, well, we've tried to fix it, so you're making an argument that Canada can be fixed. Oh, you're saying it's not broken? Well,
Communism, please.
You can't see the communism, you're freaking blind. There's people who have come from communist countries can see what is going on. They can see what's going on, and they see it happening here. And because it is happening here, we're fighting against it.
yeah.
Well, the problem here is because I don't share your opinion, you tried to silence me.
Well, I've said the same thing too before.
He and I have been chatting back and forth. But what you said is if I don't... But what he
If we don't get out of here, communism is what's going to happen.
I don't think they know what that is. What is
Yeah.
Oh, yes, we do.
What is communism?
What is
Who wants to answer that? I'll point it at you.
He said we're all communists.
Well, okay, what is communism?
It's all this way. Communism is a complete authoritarian, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
government.
I have never lived in a country where there was communism, but close by. And I've visited a country where there's communism.
That's Holland?
I come from Holland.
Right.
I've been in Eastern Germany before the wall came down, and before it was connected again with Western Germany. In Eastern Germany, you couldn't walk without any surveillance.
Okay.
And that is communism.
That's part of it.
What?
But who's watching us here? Who's surveilling us here?
Well, Bill C-22 wants to take all of your location data and your metadata off your phone, track it for 1 year.
Why would they need that? They've got people walking around.
Well, right now they supposedly need warrants to be able to take our phones and snoop through our data. But like that is an actual thing, guys. Bill C-22, go look it up. You said for me to read. Go read it. Tell me about Bill C-22. Is it going to allow the government to snoop through our personal data on our devices?
Bill C-22 makes it easier for police to access subscriber info, like names or addresses, at a lower level of suspicion. They don't need a full warrant just to confirm if someone's a subscriber. Also, telecoms may have to store metadata, like call times or locations, for up to a year. The content of your communications still requires a warrant, but privacy concerns are about easier access to your activity data.
But okay, so I get it. To be fair, like we say communism. I don't think Canada's going to become like straight up communist, but we are on a path towards a more authoritarian system that controls more, micromanages our lives. And I'm worried about this, yeah. Well, okay, even provincially then. I said I want to throw off the provincial government too. I want a completely new system.
Now I have a question. What do you think about the Swiss system?
I don't know about the Swiss system to comment on. Although they seem to be
The Swiss system.
they seem to be affluent.
The Swiss system is like that. The government propose some questions, and every 3 months, 4 months, the people go voting on the questions. So the people actually decide what is happening in the country. I think that should be a good thing here.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know enough about it. I respect your opinion too.
But that's what I think.
Yeah.
And I respect another opinion too, but
Yeah.
I can tell you what I think, right? I can.
Yeah.
And you don't have to agree with me. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I don't know who she.
But if I say the Swiss system looks to me a really good system, then you might be able to look further into it and see what you think more of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, fair enough.
And if you got enough people to vote for it, you could make that transition without destroying Canada.
Yeah.
Well, okay, yeah, we could completely change our constitution, but what are the hurdles to do that? We need a supermajority of provinces, we need the Supreme Court and the Senate, and
His idea might be good enough to warrant that change.
Get out of Canada.
yeah.
But by destroying the country, your choice is, I don't like what we got. He's saying, I think there's a better system. What you're saying is, I don't like what we got, so let's destroy the country.
I'm saying let's create a system that actually works.
Then let's work on what we got and make it better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
What do we have right now that you said it's working? You said it's not broken. What do we have right now that's not broken?
well,
Not being put on your video.
you know,
so just so you know that.
here's an example. People talk about, and we see politicians talk about how crime is out of control in Canada. Well, at the
Yeah.
same time,
Hey, ChatGPT, listen to this.
the Hathaway Berkshire Travel Insurance Report, which audits countries all over the world to establish insurance rates relative to the risk of living in that country,
Okay.
defined Canada as the safest country in the world in 2024. And we've always been in the top 3 countries, and yet we have separatists saying, oh, we're being overrun by crime.
He cited a Berkshire Travel Insurance report saying Canada was the safest country in 2024, often top 3, and questioned why people claim crime is rising. The response: yes, Canada ranked highly for safety, and crime perceptions do vary. But based on 2024 data, crime rates actually declined nationally, including in Alberta.
I didn't know that. So in terms of like crime safety is what you're saying, like, or were you
Safest
talking about
country in the
investment
world.
safety,
No.
investment risk?
Safety, reparations from like injuries, health care.
Okay.
It's all combined. This is the
Okay.
safest country in the world as defined by an American-based research company. And what do you hear? Oh, we're going to hell in a handbasket.
Okay, you know what? I'll actually 100% side with you on this one. Canada is a safe country. We respect, you know, worker safety and people get injured at work, and we have good bylaws for designing our cities so that, you know, handicapped people can access places, and like we're a pretty safe country. That's a really good thing going for us. I've traveled to other countries that don't have standards like that. And in Latin America, people die at the work site and then that's it. They forget about them, right? So that's a really good thing. I 100% agree with you. So that was easy. Yeah.
But it isn't just worksite safety.
Okay.
Crime rate.
Crime rate. Okay.
All of that is factored in. Canada is the safest country in the world.
Well, okay, so I don't know the stats. I mean, would your mind change if the stats were the other way, or is it because like we don't have it in front of us? So if your whole argument depends on the stats being in your favor, then I'll take your argument if you win. But you know, we can look up the stats. Anybody can look them up.
Absolutely, and that's what I want people to do. Look them up.
Look them up.
Reassure yourself.
Okay.
Do your homework.
I wasn't making an argument about crime rates, but he wanted me to look them up, and here's what ChatGPT told me. Total crime has gone down, but violent crime has remained about the same with a minor increase. So you decide, does this have anything to do with whether or not Alberta should separate from Canada? I found this conversation interesting, but I don't see how it changes anything.
Fairly easy.
Hello.
You know, we can track crime in Canada from 1962. That's when Stats Canada started tracking crime.
Okay.
It's accessible to you on the internet. Anybody who's got the internet. This is what frustrates me.
Yeah.
Is not everybody has access to the internet.
Yeah.
But anybody who does, and I presume you do because you're posting YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah.
You wouldn't need me to make this argument.
No, I don't. So here's what ChatGPT told me about violent crimes. Remember, most crimes went down, but violent crimes went slightly up. When you break it down, sexual assault went way up since 2015 and is higher than in the last 25 years. But robbery has trended down. And I'm telling you this for credibility. They challenged me to do my homework. But either way, I don't see how any of this has anything to do with what we're trying to talk about, namely Alberta independence. But please leave a comment below. But here's what I'll do right now. On the screen, people will see some crime statistics. So what crime statistics should we look up? And I'll post it from like Stats Canada.
Well, look up. You can discover total numbers of crimes, total number of crimes per city, total crime rates.
Okay.
You can break it down into each component: murder rates, sexual assault rates, total numbers of sexual assaults. You can. All of that is completely available on the internet because every police department in the country submits it to Stats Canada, and they catalog it so that every citizen in the country, if they just want to take the time, can look it up. So if it turns out that the crime stats are as low as you say, then I mean, I guess I lose this argument, or I mean, I would just agree with you, I guess. I'm not losing an argument because I wasn't making one, but if the crime stats are the opposite of what you say, well, you can assert that, but I'm going to post them on the screen, so like, then would you take it back? Your whole argument depends on what? I was a police officer for 28 years. Okay. And since that time, I've studied police productivity and crime in Canada. Okay. So I can tell you, for example, I can tell you that you were around 91. Were you around 91? Yeah. 85. Hey, ChatGPT, listen to this and tell me what you think. 91 was the highest crime year in Canadian history. Oh. And the attitude at the time was Canada was one of the safest countries in the world then. Oh. I was 20 years into my career at that point. And we all knew that Canada was one of the safest countries in the world. Okay. Crime began to fall in 92 and didn't bottom out until 2014. Okay. And Canada was never a high crime year. The reason Canada was one of the safest countries in the world is because we only reported 2.9 million crimes in 1991. Okay. The population grew by 7 million people between 1991, most of them immigrants, or immigrants. And 2014, 7.5 million more Canadians reported 1.1 million fewer crimes in 2014 than they did in 1991.
Okay, I'm going to look all those stats up. That's interesting.
It is quite interesting.
Yeah, thank you.
And the only crime increases we've seen in the last 30 years occurred after it bottomed out in 2014.
Okay.
And it's higher. We have more crimes now.
Broadly, what he said aligns with historical trends. Crime peaked in the early 90s, then declined for years, and saw some increases after 2014. The population growth alongside crime reduction is also roughly accurate. As for his point, he seems to imply that despite past crime fluctuations, Canada remains safe and functional. He might be suggesting that since crime has been handled well historically across Canada, there's no need for Alberta to separate. But that's more implied. He didn't explicitly tie it to independence.
Okay, very interesting. What happened in 2014, do you know?
Well, I think 2014 was just an anomaly year, but the crime rate has remained the same. In other words, crime is still very, very low, but it increased with population. It didn't increase out of step with population. Okay. Whereas for 25 years, it fell while population grew.
Yeah.
Look it up. Yeah. It's fascinating.
Yeah, I will look that up. So then what is the argument here, though? Because, like, Canada's a safe country. I agree with you on this.
Safe is because we've got a good educational system, which the government helps fund.
Okay.
It's because typically we treat each other with respect.
Well, I'm treating you with respect right now. So are you? You're treating me with respect?
Didn't apply otherwise. And I'm treating you with respect. So
thank you.
Try not to be too sensitive. Too defensive.
Don't worry.
We typically treat each other with respect.
Thank you.
And you know what? We embrace different cultures.
Yeah.
People who come from different places. I mean, I was born here.
Yeah.
You know, and they still had stone wheels and stuff like that. But you know, we've embraced change, except some people don't want to embrace immigration. They don't want to embrace change.
Okay.
You know, and so it becomes hostile. And what we've lost the sympathy for is when I was much younger and voting much younger, I voted. And I'll be honest with you, I voted on both sides of the center spectrum.
Okay.
Because I vote on policy.
Okay.
Like I voted for Joe Clark twice. I voted for Brian Mulroney. I voted for, you know.
Hey, fair enough.
People who lost.
Yeah.
But I didn't hate somebody who voted otherwise.
I don't hate you or anybody who votes against me either.
I'm
proud of the fact that we elect this.
All you have to do is take 2 minutes, look around a little bit, and you find somebody who says, well, because you don't agree with me, you're a communist.
Yeah.
That never happened before.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's happened before. I personally...
Not in my lifetime.
And I've said right beside you, I'm worried about the division that this is creating. I am worried about it.
Yeah. So get on board. Help make this a better place.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could say the same to you, right?
I am. Yeah. That's why I study things like productivity and why I study economic facts. Like, for example, the question your friend asked earlier on.
Hey, ChatGPT, listen to this.
We've got separatists running around saying that Alberta sends $50 billion a year annually to Ottawa.
Okay.
I mean, I went to a separatist rally, and I watched Jeff Rath stand up there and say, we send them $70 billion a year, and we only get $20 billion back, and it takes 5 minutes to prove that's not...
What source should I go to then to verify what you're saying? Because I've heard the same thing, and I've checked this source. It seems like the number is like... Daniel Smith says it's more like 25 or something. Jeff says it's more like 40 or 50.
Jeff says 50. Mitch Sylvester
40 to 50.
45.
Yeah.
I mean, I was there.
So, but it depends on what years you're averaging, right? If you average the last 4 years.
Use the source. That's why I pointed out that the separatist posters quoted the Fraser Institute. Go to the Fraser Institute. It's a right-leaning think tank. Just divide the numbers. Just use their numbers, and you find the actual number is $15.3 billion a year. And that $15.3 billion a year went to support national defense. Right?
He questioned the claim that Alberta sends $50 billion yearly to Ottawa and referenced the Fraser Institute, which averages about $15 billion annually. The numbers differ because sources use different timeframes. some shorter, some longer. Regardless, Alberta is a net contributor. He argues that contribution funds national services like defense. Whether that's value is subjective, depending on your view of shared services versus local control.
So whether we get value for all the money we send is a politically subjective question. Great.
It supports, like, how's Alberta going to have its own army?
This is a good point. But you were talking about immigration before. You brought that up, and I wanted to kind of ask more about it. So you say that, well, you brought up immigration. Where were you going with that one?
The only reason I mentioned immigration is because they said we have grown hostile to immigration, and that's why we've become hostile to each other. And there's really no point.
One of my best friends owns a restaurant in Stettler, East from the Philippines.
And we've got a lot of wonderful people from the Philippines.
Yeah,
here.
we're not against immigration.
A lot of people are. A lot of people are.
Who's against immigration?
No one in our group.
Have you looked at your
manifesto?
Holy
yeah, it says like response.
Yeah, no, I just published a YouTube video where I read Dennis Kalma's. I'm against mass immigration. I just published a video where I'm against that whole part of the proposal of the plan, and it is something that I would like to talk, and I think that both sides need to think about this. But yeah, so I mean, I don't have to agree with everything that people are saying in this movement either.
What happens though if we didn't have Filipino people working in our hospitals? What would happen?
A whole bunch of Canadians would end up having jobs instead of the immigration.
We've got all these hospitals looking for nurses. So do you think it's that there's not enough Filipino nurses to fill those jobs? Come on.
I don't know many Filipino nurses. I know they're more situated in the health aid.
As I understand it, there's a shortage of doctors and nurses. My sister was a registered nurse for 35 years. Didn't have a problem finding a job.
So 11 years ago, we had a program with immigration that was... It was focused on hiring engineers, nurses, and doctors. And now, after the Trudeau government 0.2 or 2.0, now what we have is floodgates opened. Let all these engineers and doctors coming in, killing and raping and pillaging our people, taking advantage of everything.
What you're saying, if I can quote you, what you said was we're letting Filipino doctors and engineers coming in to rape and plunger people.
Mass immigration does not bring all good people. No, because I'm saying 11 years ago and previous to that, Canada had a good vetting system that actually was focused on bringing in engineers, doctors, nurses, and people that actually have skill. Ever since the Trudeau government has come in, now that what we see is just any single person in the whole world wants to come to Canada. They come here, they get an initial payment, and then they get paid monthly. They're provided house care. Nah, they are.
No, they don't.
I see it everywhere I go. When I go to the city of Edmonton or Calgary, it is nothing like it used to be 10 years or prior.
Did the government pay you to come here?
No, I had to bring money.
Yeah, back when the vetting process was... How long ago did you move here, sir?
I moved here in 99.
Okay. In 1999, the immigration system was a whole different system than what it is now. I'm not against immigration whatsoever, but I am against mass immigration. It is not doing anything good for the people. It's not doing good for our infrastructure. Our healthcare has gone down. Everything is not looking even remotely close to it was pre-COVID. And it's not going to get better.
I just bake a little, I put a little.
Gone down because of immigration.
And
more people. When's the last time? No. When's the last time they built a brand new hospital here in Alberta? Can you remember?
Oh, they're building one in Reggie right now. They're expanding it.
So one.
Yeah.
Okay. So
building hospitals constantly.
36% of our population right now is new immigration from the last 10 years. 36%
of 5 million people.
36% of our total population right now. I'm talking about all of Canada. You're on the Canada side here.
Well, that's 41. So 30% of 41. So 12 million people in this country.
Absolutely.
It
is, but it's
we can all look up that information. Right?
It's facts.
So, it's a big number.
It's a huge number, and that's why we don't have enough infrastructure being built in order to take in that. If say we built a bunch of hospitals and housing, then immigrated people in, that'd be something sustainable. What's happening now is hurting my family and everyone around. You go to the hospital right now, how long are you sitting in line for?
That's provincial.
That's a provincial responsibility, isn't it?
If you go to a hospital in Ontario, how's it going to be? If you go Prince Edward Island, Quebec.
Well, it's a provincial responsibility, but if we didn't have to send so much money to Ottawa, then we could fund ourselves better.
Absolutely. On hospital care, we're going to separate. We're just going to take Alberta and put it elsewhere, and the hospital care is going to get better. Come on.
There'll be way more money in the province. There'll be...
Because we're not sending so much to Ottawa.
If you have pipeline bans lifted, if you have carbon tax lifted, if you have everything that the government of Canada is trying...
The only carbon tax you're paying right now goes to the province.
There's the industrial carbon tax.
Well, it's the province. There is no carbon tax being paid to the federal government.
ChatGPT, is there a carbon tax in Canada?
Yes, there is a federal carbon tax in Canada, and it is paid to the federal government when applicable.
And when Carney asked Danielle Smith to eliminate the provincial carbon tax, she said no. I'm not lying to you.
Well, I'm okay. I'll take your word for it, sir. I mean, if that's true, then
it's like people think that royalties, the federal government collects royalties.
Well,
on
I'll
oil.
find
They
out.
don't. The only royalties collected on oil are collected provincially. And the reason we don't have a huge amount of money in some big sustainable fund is because the province of Alberta has gotten into a habit of not collecting enough taxes to spend on the things it wants to spend on. So they run a deficit. So then they use the royalties to help fund the deficit.
If this equalization payment program that they have going wasn't as such, there would be billions of additional dollars to fund healthcare. Well, they say up to what, 24 billion a year?
I mean, we're disputing how much we send, but some numbers, he's saying, what, it was 16 billion?
Well, that's a different question.
And Jeff's saying 40, oh.
It's a different question. However, how do you think, can you humor me? How do you think we make equalization payments?
It's our income tax that goes into the federal income tax pool, and then they have a specific formula about how to divvy it up based off of the province's needs, and then they spread it out after this. So yes, it's federal income tax that we pay that gets divvied out.
Alrighty. Now, how much of federal revenue? All right, with everybody across Canada, everybody who makes $100,000 a year in Canada pays the same amount of federal taxes.
Yeah, nearly 50%.
All other things being equal. It doesn't matter what it is, or it's 10 or 50.
It does matter though, because that 45% taxes affects everybody. So
everybody pays the same amount across Canada. It goes into a big pot.
Yeah.
And
Alberta gets none, BC gets none.
Just a second.
Yeah.
Hey, ChatGPT, listen to this.
Federal government distributes about 5% of all general revenues unequally. That's equalization payments. They distribute about 5% of all general revenues unequal.
He's downplaying it by pointing out it's just a small percentage of the federal budget, essentially saying it's minor. But he shouldn't, because even small billions matter to Alberta. It's not just about size, it's about fairness and feeling like those funds aren't coming back.
Is he right about the numbers?
He's close, but a bit off. Equalization is typically around 2 to 3% of federal revenues, not exactly 5%. Still, even if it's a small portion, the billions redistributed are significant, especially from Alberta's viewpoint.
The rest goes to Ukraine.
And it's long.
Wow.
Come back.
No, don't go away. Don't go away. So,
I want to hear where you're going with this. Please finish.
Alberta, if you do the math, and you can look all of this up,
Yeah.
you'll find that Alberta contributes about 14% of all general revenues. Ontario contributes 42%, Quebec contributes 18%, BC contributes about 16%, and Alberta contributes 14%. So that accounts for about 85% of all general revenues collected by the government. They take 5% of that. This is easy to fact check, guys. This is dead bloody simple.
I know. We've done it a million times.
Yeah. Well, then don't go away. Don't tap him on the shoulder.
Well, no, this is good. So this is good. We can't just shout things out and walk away. We got to hear it.
Interest.
Yeah, we got to listen.
So, okay.
All right, ChatGPT, listen to this one now.
So if Alberta contributes 14% of all general revenues, how can Alberta contribute more than 14% of all equalization payments? And if equalization payments were, and you can look this up, like in 2022, there was $22 billion distributed in equalization payments. So Alberta contributed 14% of 22 billion. That's $3 billion.
Yeah.
That was Alberta's contribution to equalization payment in 2022.
His logic is wrong because he treats equalization like a simple pay-in, pay-out percentage, but it's not. Equalization is based on a formula that measures a province's fiscal capacity, not just how much it paid. So his math doesn't reflect how equalization actually works.
So how should we actually think about equalization in terms of fairness from Alberta's perspective?
From Alberta's perspective, fairness isn't about getting back exactly what you pay in. Equalization is about ensuring every province, even those with fewer resources, can deliver similar services. Alberta often has more fiscal capacity, so it contributes more. The fairness debate then is less about a direct refund and more about whether the program achieves its goal as balancing opportunity nationwide.
That sounds great. I mean, I genuinely want to help the rest of Canada, but my empathy for them kind of stopped after they shut down all of our pipeline projects and put tanker bans on and do everything they can to take away our property rights and hinder free speech.
It's natural to feel frustrated when you think your province is being held back. It's okay to want fairness both ways. If Alberta contributes, it's fair to want respect for its industries and rights.
I agree, but it's interesting how he uses flawed logic to make a point that completely misses the point.
So you have that on paper?
And you can look it up.
Why don't you have a fact check, like a bibliography? Do you have one?
Yeah,
It's not fair to get people just... None of us walk around with these numbers.
Yeah.
But, you know, to be fair, though...
You know why I do know these numbers? Because I look them up. You guys are not not unable to look them up.
Are you from Alberta originally?
So, are you okay with our representation?
I'll put a codicil on it. I was born in Edmonton because my family lived in Fort Smith and they needed a hospital for me to be born. So my mother was flown out of the Northwest Territories to Alberta. My mother was born in Alberta. So I was actually born in Alberta. And I have lived in Alberta all but 15 years of my 74.
Okay.
So I think I qualify.
Does an immigrant who comes here and lives here, is that person Albertan as well?
Let me finish this thought on equalization. We complain about all these other provinces getting equalization payments. But Ontario and Quebec both contributed more to general revenues than they got out in equalization payments.
It's false. Quebec has always received equalization, and Ontario has received it in some years. Neither province consistently funded equalization more than they got back. Equalization doesn't work as a simple pay-in, pay-out system anyway.
So they funded their own equalization payments. Now, Alberta did contribute $3 billion, no question about it. And by the $3 billion. And you can do the math on it. Pretty simple. It's 14% of 22 billion is $3 billion. That's right. It's simple math.
Okay.
It's like as if all of us put in, if you put in $42 in a pot and I put $14 in a pot and she put in $18 in the pot until we got 100, and we then distributed that pot. $14 of those is mine, but that's all I would lose.
He's treating equalization like a simple pot. If you put in 14%, you get 14% back. But equalization isn't a dollar-for-dollar refund. It's based on fiscal capacity. His claim oversimplifies a complex system, so the exact dollar figure he arrives at doesn't reflect reality.
What's the main point of all this, can I ask?
Alberta would save $25 billion a year if it wasn't for equalization payments.
It's not just that, though. If Alberta were able to utilize every single resource that is in this province...
I think what's more important is if we had
freedom,
a better regulatory process for the oil
freedom.
That's what I'm
there would
talking
be a lot
about.
more business for the people and business for everybody.
And no more slavery. Freedom or death, and slaves no more.
Yeah.
Well, if you go back to 1933 and Woodrow Wilson and Edward Mandell House, you'll know that the social insurance number and the birth certificate were created to indoctrinate people, and so that they would be their slaves and they'll make money and we'd be none the wiser. And it's proven and written.
An argument that I can't.
I don't know.
We're slaves and everything is indoctrinated.
If you believe we are slaves and that
Tax
social
slaves.
insurance was meant to enslave us and all that kind of thing, there's nobody can convince you otherwise.
Yeah. Do you know about we've given up our God-given unalienable rights and being complacent?
I have.
Oh.
Well, can I shift the conversation then? Because you said you were a police officer. What's your opinion on the gun confiscation?
To be honest, I'm not a fan.
Because a lot of people, I think, in this movement would see this as the only way to really be able to keep our guns.
And if that's your key issue,
well, it's like one of the
it's
top
either
10.
I get to keep my gun. See, I hunt, so I have guns.
Yeah.
I just don't need an automatic rifle to kill a moose.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Well, automatic rifles have been banned for like 50 or 60 years.
I carried a pistol for 28 years, and it was a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
literally, because they're heavy.
Yeah.
But I don't own one now.
So one of the rights we don't have that maybe she was alluding to, I don't know, I don't want to put words in her mouth, is we don't have property rights. There's nothing about property rights in our Charter Rights and Freedoms.
No property rights?
Well, they can just, with a stroke of a pen, take away billions of dollars of property.
They're not going to come and take my home. They're not going to take my truck. I own property. Don't tell me we don't have property rights.
Well, when you're retired and you're living on the meager pension, if you can't pay your property taxes, they're going to foreclose on your house. Do you really own it?
It's provincial.
Yeah.
Do you think that's going to change?
No, we're going to change our whole thing. We're going to have a republic where the power comes from the people, not from the crown.
No taxes and no taxes. Really?
Well, we're going to have taxes, but it's going to be based off of a democratic process.
Yeah,
and
eventually
this is the result of a democratic process.
A democratic
a
process.
non-democratic process.
There's people who vote differently than me. That doesn't mean it's not a democracy.
So, but you said you're not a fan of this.
The reason I'm not a fan of this arbitrary, this gun's legal, this gun is not legal, is because in my opinion, most guns used in crimes are not obtained legally. Anyway.
Yeah, I think you're right on that.
It's like putting a Band-Aid on my elbow if I sprain my finger. It's just,
but now we're going to spend billions of dollars, and there's probably going to be people who are going to get hurt, and there's people who are going to go to jail just because they kept their semi-automatic firearm. And are you in favor of all that? Like, is that
being in favor is different than going, yeah, well, I can live with that.
You can live with that?
I'm not, yeah, because I can still hunt. I still have my freedom to hunt.
Yeah.
And maybe that's my own bias.
Yeah.
Maybe there's people who don't want people to hunt too.
Yeah.
But I don't. I just don't need a semi-automatic rifle. I don't need a pistol. So
okay.
So there's two different things. I don't believe that this firearms regulation is going to reduce the number of gun crimes. I don't believe that. In fact, the only increase in gun crimes in recent years is with people being charged for crimes that are the result of laws that have been made recently. Like when I was a much younger person, you could go in and you could buy a box of shells without needing a permit.
Yeah.
Now, if you're found in possession of shells without a permit, that's a crime.
Right.
So that's the only gun crimes that have actually gone up, is crimes that are related to recent laws.
Okay.
As far as murders committed by guns, that hasn't gone up.
Okay.
So I'm not a fan of the confiscation because I don't think it addresses the real problem. If the problem is gun crime, right? But where these other people come from is they think if they regulate access to guns, they might also reduce suicides. That's where they're really coming from.
Well, I'm sure that's a big part of the argument. But for me, the big thing here is like property rights. We jump through hoops to buy these guns, and we've legally owned them, and we've been responsible with them. and you're saying that you agree with us on all of this. This is our only way to keep them. You vote for independence.
Your argument that we have no property rights because the government legislates against a certain number of firearms. Yeah. That doesn't mean they've eliminated your property rights. Well, I still have my guns.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if they can pick what things you can and can't own, so that's infringing on property rights.
Every government has limitations.
Yeah.
Every government does.
Yeah.
And you know, if you think you're going to be the isolated individual out there, hair on you. I just don't think that's necessarily rational.
Okay. We started this conversation off. You were talking about your dad was a soldier as well. He was in the Air Force, and I thank you for telling me that, right? And another respect, but I think like a lot of the people who are going to get caught up in this gun ban are going to be RCMP and soldiers. A lot of them own firearms that are on this list now, and so like,
if you still target shoot.
Yeah. Well,
I could go target shooting this afternoon and go on to the gun.
I mean, I know a guy with like $8,000 AR-15. Like once it's all set up, and like they're taking that and they're not giving him anything for it. Like
I know people that are impacted by it too. Who are decent people. But sometimes it's
Germany that took away the guns away from the people,
and Venezuela.
That happened.
And lots of totalitarian.
Well, it's all part of it.
Yeah.
But they didn't. But they took all the guns. I've still got.
Yeah.
There's enough.
They start with a trickle and it ends up as an avalanche.
See, that's why we feel like this is turning communist, because it feels like this is always the thing. They take the guns away and then.
The government that restricted gun access here was a legally elected government.
Yeah.
That's the difference between it and communism.
Yeah. Nazis were legally elected. So well, I don't know. Mark Carney wasn't the first time. Second time, he's kind of getting his majority through like sneakiness. So maybe Hitler's got one up on Carney. Maybe that's kind of a cheap shot.
You can still own guns.
Yeah. Well, do you think they're going to stop here now, or are they going to come for handguns in 5 years?
Well, handguns have already been restricted since what, 62 or something.
Yeah, but you're allowed to.
What about restricting?
You're allowed to use them. Do you think they're going to just like completely scoop them up now? That's like the next thing?
I don't know. I have no way of knowing.
Like I don't own any semi-automatic rifles. I don't care to. It's not my thing. But I think it's important that people have the right and freedom to acquire that rifle in order to use for sport shooting and other things that they would like.
To me, it's just the principle of it, too, because it's like, this is our property. We were allowed to own it, and now they're just arbitrarily taking it away with no reason.
I think I should be able to own a particular kind of gun. That's what I want to take the country apart for.
No. Actually,
for me, it's a lack of representation.
For me, it's the lack of freedom. We don't have rights in this country.
In Alberta. And Quebec has around, 80 to 100,000 people per senator.
Yeah.
Here in Alberta, we have 6 senators, and the more people that mass immigrate, the less representation we have. We have the least amount of representation out of any other province.
The gun thing is just a fringe issue.
Yeah. Okay. For me. What legal authority does the Senate have to pass bills?
The Canadian Senate acts as a chamber of sober second thought. Once the elected House of Commons passes a bill, the Senate reviews, debates, and can propose amendments. The Senate can delay or reject bills, but it rarely blocks them outright. Ultimately, both chambers must agree before a bill becomes law, ensuring regional and diverse perspectives are considered.
So the Senate does have a pretty important role, because you can't have a law passed without the Senate approving it.
Exactly. Even though senators aren't elected, their approval is required. They can refine or delay bills, ensuring there's a thorough review. So yes, no law gets passed without both the House of Commons and the Senate agreeing.
Is that part of the democratic process? What I'm trying to say is we don't have access to have representation. We're being taxed without being represented properly, and that's illegal.
Yeah, the Senate has no authority, but they do play a part of it. They recommend things, and it goes to the Senate, and then they talk about it, and to change the Constitution, the Senate does have to be involved in that.
Authority to overrule a bill passed in the House.
Right.
And the representatives in the House are all, we all have the same representation per population in the House.
Well, that's not true. The eastern provinces have more representation. I think PEI has a minimum of 4 clause. They could drop to 10 people, and then 4 of the people on the island would be senators.
Balanced off somewhat by the fact that smaller province, less populous province.
Yeah.
Like Alberta has more representation, like fewer constituents per MP than Ontario. So that helps balance that.
No, so this is actually something that in our movement circulates a lot, and I haven't memorized the exact number, but it's easy to track. And Alberta has way less representation per capita than other places. Saskatchewan and BC are kind of right down at the bottom with us, but all the political weight is in the east.
Absolutely.
So let's just look at the data. Although I was wrong about Saskatchewan because those guys are comparably overrepresentative, I was mostly right here. But I dug deeper into this, and it doesn't seem to be as strong as an argument as we'd like to think. Because once you redistribute seats more fairly, Ontario actually gains 11, Quebec only loses 4, Alberta gains 5, Saskatchewan loses 4. So this is more of an argument for the sake of the principle of it all, and not really something that if we solved it would make much of a difference. But hey, I just want to be fair, so please leave a comment below.
That's why our vote doesn't matter.
Our vote doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter what we vote Liberal, we get Liberal.
You can look up
Conservative, we get Liberal.
the number of residents per riding all across Canada.
Yeah.
Please, look it up.
I will post it right now on the screen. This is a number that's like circulating wildly. It's so easy to see.
And what you'll find, if you look at most ridings in Ontario, I think it's around 120,000 people per MP.
Yeah.
They're like 122,000, we're like 118,000
No.
people per MP.
Yeah. I'm just going to say I haven't admitted it, but it's on the screen right now what it actually is.
What is it?
Well, I said I haven't memorized it, So, but loosely speaking, though, we're not represented equally.
Just look at it.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, that's really fair. For me, though, because we were talking about gun rights, that's not a biggest issue for me. For me, it's actually freedom. We don't have rights in this country. The way our system is set up, we do not have rights.
We have 136,400 people per MP in Alberta.
Okay, Ontario. Look it up.
Ontario's not my concern.
Well, how can you make a comparison?
If you look at the numbers yourself, you'll see we are underrepresented in Alberta and have been since 1905. And if you look at what we had what 8% tax, federal income tax in 1905, and now we're at what 45%ish, somewhere in that area. Like, you think it's getting better or it will get better? It's not.
The average worker in this country
tasking us as slaves in order to have more control over the people, and we will have to rely on the government more than we can rely on ourselves.
Oh, we got a king. Like, what do you think about that?
Guys. Come on.
Come on. I mean, we got a king. He's the head of our military.
So
your dad actually fought for him.
We have a king. So here's the question. Go to the OECD, which is the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development.
Okay.
Last in the list.
No, we're not.
Alberta's like, or Canada's like 20th. We used to be in the top 10, 5.
That is not true. But here's the point I'm trying to make. Ask for tax wedges by country. And what that'll tell you is the OECD studies 38 of the leading countries in the world.
Okay.
Canada is 26th in the amount of taxes we pay. In other words, 25 of the leading countries in the world pay more personal taxes than we do in Canada. And those of you who think that the United States is the model to follow, they're 28.
Yeah.
And we have health care.
According to the OECD, Canada's tax wedge, which measures income and payroll taxes minus benefits, was lower than the OECD average. For a single worker, Canada ranked 26th out of 38 countries. For a married couple with children, Canada also ranked 26th with a lower tax burden than average. So the speaker was correct that Canada is in the lower third of OECD countries to personal taxes.
I'm sorry, but you've hit the daily limit for advanced voice.
Duh. Gotta do my homework now myself.
Well, I mean, okay, fair enough. What does that mean?
Okay, so here's what I think he's doing. He's blending two separate points. Yes, Canada is not the highest tax country in the OECD measure, but saying we have healthcare does not prove we're getting good value for our money. The real question is not whether healthcare exists. The real question is whether it's actually performing for what we pay for. Albertans are frustrated because we could be doing so much better, and yet we're being told that we have to pay for the have-not provinces, and at the same time, we can't even go to work to develop our own economy.
Like, okay, so...
Well, you guys are talking like as if we're the only country in the world that taxes anybody. Oh my, oh my. We have no freedoms. They're taking all of our money. They're turning us into slaves.
Yeah.
Just think about that.
Yeah.
25 of the leading countries in the world collect more taxes than Canada does per capita.
Yeah. And see, we're looking at Alberta and we're thinking, man, we got so much resources here. We could be like all these other countries that produce oil, and we could like pay less taxes because of our wealthy, our resource development.
Norway, for example?
Well, like a lot of oil companies.
But
a lot of
Saudi, Kuwait, all that countries has no income tax. But don't tell me they don't have any other tax, because they have.
The average tax rate in Norway is 47%.
I know. So that's basically.
So what Norway does, and the reason they have all that money from oil that we don't,
they got a sovereign wealth fund,
is because they have a sovereign wealth fund. It's got $2.7 trillion in it.
Yeah.
They own all their oil.
Yeah.
And they own the oil company that mines 70% of all the oil in Norway.
Yeah.
And they take all of the profits from the oil that they kept ownership of and they put it in the sovereign wealth fund.
Mm-hmm.
They then tax their people enough to fund their operational expenses.
Okay.
That's why they've got a $2.7 trillion wealth fund, and we've got, what, $27 billion? Because what we did was we lease out all the oil lands to most of them to very largely American-owned companies, and the provincial government gets nothing but royalties.
Norway's average tax rate is 36%.
47%.
36%.
The tax point is weak. Norway is only a few points higher than Canada, not massively higher. On the bigger issue, we may actually agree. I also want a sovereign wealth fund, and I want operating expenses to be covered by reasonable taxes. The difference is that he sees this as proof that Canada can be fixed, and I see Alberta's failure to get there as proof that Canada can't be fixed. What do you think? Please leave a comment below.
This is a good conversation, and I really appreciate it. But I'll concede that even if the economy were to collapse under independence, which I don't believe it will, for me, it's about freedom. I want my rights guaranteed. I want freedom of speech. I want freedom of religion. I want freedom of association. I want freedom of property rights.
To whatever church you want to go to.
Well, so Bill C-9 is going to make it illegal to preach the Bible in certain contexts, and that's the first step that a lot of people see towards criminalizing certain things or having compelled speech in Canada. They already have compelled speech laws in many situations.
Freedom to be free of religion.
So, absolutely, freedom of religion, freedom from religion is the exact same thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right, and that's why there's rules against, say, the Lord's Prayer in schools, for example. Because a lot of those kids that go to school abide by no religious beliefs or different ones that might be, So freedom, that's a door that swings two ways.
Yeah, but Bill C-9, a lot of pastors are going to start self-censoring because there's things in the Bible that are against, gay people, for example. And whatever your opinion is on it, you don't have to listen to it. And in my idea of free speech, you can say, hey, I support this or I'm against this. But Bill C-9 is the first step towards criminalizing that type of speech, and people are going to start self-censoring, and I just think the solution to bad speech is more speech. And we don't have that right now.
Are you telling me that...
Can you share a news article on Facebook in Canada?
No.
No, you can't. That's censorship. That's free speech.
I don't do
Whether
Facebook.
you do it or not, the people that do use that platform are unable to share news.
Yeah.
But the Canadian government can share misinformation constantly, and that's...
More than 90% of our media is American-owned.
What percentage of the media in Canada is owned by Americans or other foreign entities?
In Canada's media sector, about 83.9% of assets in the information and cultural industries are controlled by US-based companies as of 2023. Overall, foreign enterprises held about 14.7% of Canada's total corporate assets in 2022. Despite regulations limiting foreign ownership, the US remains a dominant foreign investor, especially in newspapers.
So what does that mean? 83.9% of assets are owned by US-controlled entities?
Yeah, exactly. So it means a huge chunk of the media landscape in Canada is actually owned or controlled by companies based in the US. So even though it might look like Canadian media, a vast majority of the capital backing it or the ownership stakes come from outside the country, primarily the US. This often sparks debates about media diversity, domestic control, and how much Canadian perspectives get shaped by foreign ownership.
Wow, I didn't know this. That changes how I think about a lot of things now. I'm going to have to really think about this.
Do you know that CBC gets $1.5 billion a year from the federal government?
Check your sources.
Yeah.
Our media is.
So if the media comes from a different country, it should be censored, is what you're saying?
No. What she's saying is that it's biased, and you need somebody like CBC to try and counter.
CBC is incredibly biased.
Yeah.
Government funding.
Well, bias is where you see it. Come on.
Well, okay. Here's an example of bias. So for a while, all the news articles that were coming out of Canadian news sources were calling us traitors. And right around when EB was calling us a traitor, they ran with that headline for about a week or two. And then they all changed their story in sync with each other. They call us separatists now. Maybe there's a few that call us traitors, but you see what I mean? Like they're all on the same page with each other. Huh?
What did EB call you?
EB called us treasonous.
And so the newspaper reported his statement accurately.
Yeah.
And that's their bias?
Yeah. Well, so no, the headlines that are calling, they're not even talking about this. We're just treasonous.
You're saying is that you wanted the CBC to filter it so that it wasn't quite so harsh.
No. I'm just pointing out how they all walk in lockstep. At first they called us one thing, and then a week later they realized that they were likely open to probably some legal problems by saying that. And then they changed their word.
They reported what EB said accurately.
Yeah.
It offends you.
Yeah.
But that's not a bias.
Yeah. No.
Not a bias.
Yeah. Well, in a free press, I'd be like, say whatever you want, right? I'm just pointing out that they all, in lockstep, changed their word. But hey, this is interesting. Do you think that we are traitors?
I think you're misinformed.
But I know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Please do.
Can you hold my camera?
Oh, of course.
Oh, okay,
I can.
Point it at
Not this on your camera.
I'm not editing.
We're not asking him to get this.
So put something interesting.
YouTube channel. So.
That's my YouTube channel.
Perfect. Thanks very much.
Well, and you know, I kind of have like a unwritten policy about. It's my own opinion on it at the end of the day, but when people are polite to me and they ask me to censor some things, I'll cut parts out. But if people are rude, then I won't. So is there anything in this conversation you want me to cut out? No? Well, it'll be hours and hours of work for me to cut you out. So I've yeah, that's right. Elon Musk is paying me, actually. Yeah. But no, so your dad was in the military and you were RCMP. What does it mean to be a traitor?
I think that's a conversation for a different day.
Oh, fair enough. I mean, what we're doing right now, are we traitors peacefully protesting and advocating for democracy?
Trying to create, I answered your questions when they were rational, responsible questions. Now what you're trying to do is create exactly the divisions that I told you that is harming Alberta right now.
Right.
You're creating division.
Okay. So you're against calling us traitors then?
You asked, that wasn't the question you asked me. EB has his own, you said everybody has the right to free speech.
Yeah.
Why were you offended by him having it?
Oh, there's nothing you can do to offend me. I'm just pointing it out that that's what he said. Do you agree with him or not?
I don't have to, that's a question I don't have to answer. See, that's...
No, you don't have to answer anything, that's right.
That's freedom.
Yeah, and a non-answer is also an answer.
Misdirected and misinformed.
Yeah.
And I think that's, and that's why throughout this conversation I've said, educate yourself.
Yeah. I think, well, okay, I'll educate myself. Tell me if I'm wrong then. A traitor is somebody who's committing violence or advocating for violence or somehow using some sort of threat like that. Like, it's got to be something violent. And we're not doing that. We're exact opposite. This is democracy. Advocating for a policy and change is not traitorous. It's the definition of democracy. It's the definition of it.
When's the parade starting anyway?
I think we
There's
have
going to
it.
be a parade. Yes.
Well, okay, you know what? That's actually a really good point to end on. Can I shake your hand, sir?
Sure.
Yeah. Hey.
As long as you're going to do what I say, educate yourself.
You know,
Please.
yeah.
Don't listen
Yeah.
to me. Look
Yeah.
it up at reputable
Yeah.
sources.
I will.
Please. Use the Fraser Institute. That's
Yeah.
the first place to start.
Well, I promise you I'm going to do the best I possibly can. Whoa, I'm going to smoke people here. You know, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Yeah, and like, can we just agree that we're going to try to be civil about all this going forward? Because that's why I want to shake your hand, right? Like,
Nobody jumped. None of these women tried to beat you up, so that's
No.
pretty civil.
No. But I was attacked by a woman on White Ave when I was doing this, and people have driven by and thrown
that's
things at
freedom.
me.
That's freedom, isn't it?
No. There's no freedom to assault people.
Oh, so there are supposed to be some freedoms limited?
Yeah, well, you don't have the freedom to hurt people, right? So
There you go.
yeah, no, you guys have treated me fair, and this is what I want.
Your
So
freedom.
yeah,
You want freedoms, but not freedoms in,
well,
defined by-
I don't want people to be violent. That's the thing. Yeah,
That's good.
Yeah.
We're all in agreement.
Yeah, good. Hey, awesome. Well, thank you so much for this, and please like, comment, and subscribe.
I wouldn't stand
Cheers.
on my ass waiting for that to happen.
Oh, you're probably gonna watch till the end at least. Hey, thank you so much. Hey, thank you.